Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Lou. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast. And yeah, that was fun. Well, it was fun if you were watching the Toronto Raptors tonight because the Toronto Blue Jays fans are all crashing out after the Jays blew a 2-1 lead in the eighth inning, giving up a home run to tie and then a grand slam. But we're not here to talk about that because that honestly hurt my heart. We're here to talk about this really dominant performance by Scottie Barnes, who, addresses any concern that you would have of his preseason. And obviously, we've highlighted plenty of those on this show. And I don't think that's, you know, I don't think those were not concerns. I think those were just like let's get him to play the way that we know Scottie can play. And man, I know it's just preseason, and it's always easy to throw that caveat in, but I want to appreciate greatness when I see it. Scottie Barnes played an amazing game today, probably one of the best I've seen out of him, and I've obviously watched every game of his Raptors career. Raptors win, by the way, 119, 114. A lot of things happened in this one, a lot of fun things, but Brandon Ingram with a double crossover, pull up three in a tie game to take the lead in the final minute. But man, Scottie Barnes deserves all the headlines here because that was, I would say that's what everyone was asking for, but that feels like it's taking credit away from Scottie, man. Like, I want to give him full credit for this. This was a fantastic game from him. He goes for 31 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block in 35 minutes of play. He shoots 10 of 15 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, but who cares? And then 11 of 12 from the foul line, which was pretty important too because we saw quite a bit of crunch time in this game because Brooklyn used a really hot shooting stretch, and honestly, like, probably the best game I've ever seen from Michael Porter Jr., who had a game high 34 points and was just cashing every three. But there was a stretch there where every Brooklyn net was hitting threes, and honestly, the Raptors defense was pretty shit in this one. Well, we can go through that. Because I think that was actually quite a concern, was just how poorly the Raptors played defensively. But man, Scottie Barnes, what a performance. And I mean, I don't want to say it's as easy as like, let's put him in the post. Let's have him drive at the basket. Let's see him, both lead plays, but also finish plays where other guys had the ball and he was able to duck in and catch the ball and then make a simple move going in the basket. Because I also think that, like, honestly, some of his mentality. Like, I think today Scottie looked super focused, super determined, looked really spry, and look no further than like 2 of the plays that he made down the stretch where he was just finishing and ones. Both sequences where he's making plays right at the basket to take the lead against Brooklyn at a time where, again, it was a back and forth game. And say what you want about preseason, but this is the last preseason game for both Brooklyn and for Toronto. And the next game the Raptors play will actually count. It'll be the season opener. They'll be on the road in Atlanta, but next game they play will actually count. They'll be in Atlanta, and that's when the regular season starts. And this is the last chance you get to see of the guys before they play a game that really matters. And my goodness, can I get this game from Scottie Barnes on a weekly basis, on a game-to-game basis? Because I think that's really the mark of greatness is, we know that Scottie has the ability. We've seen Scottie play great games in the past. We've seen Scottie play great games like this against superstars, right? That's why there's so much excitement for him. I remember in his rookie season, there was, one of many eye-opening games was like, him versus the Lakers. I think he had like, if I'm not mistaken, like 17 points or something in the first quarter against the Lakers with LeBron on it. Like, it's pretty good. Or I remember some early matches against the Brooklyn Nets where him and KD, were fighting back and forth. Like, so we know Scottie can do this, but it's the consistency, it's the ability to, hammer home, a good process in terms of how he's playing with his teammates, what's his plan of attack, what's his mindset. And, this is why people get disappointed when we see some of the other performances, because it's like, look how good he can be. And honestly, I'm not saying that it's just preseason. I'm not saying that it's just the Brooklyn Nets because, again, I'm not trying to take any credit away from him because I actually think he could do this against a lot of teams. What you see here tonight is, especially now that he's playing with Brandon, best defender is probably going to Brandon, which means Scottie Barnes is getting an easier defender, which means Scottie Barnes can set himself up in the offense, getting off ball, getting to the places where I've been loving these duck-ins. It was the same thing against the Celtics. This is why I'm saying it could work against good teams too, because against the Celtics, even though that wasn't a strong game, he shot 3 of 13, but I thought the best offense that he got was one, when he got the little duck-ins against like Derek White, when he got the duck-ins against like Anthony Simons, and he caught the ball, instantly made a move and went straight to the basket and scored and just used his size to bully. And the other thing too was I really like when Scottie was driving into the lane, but with a plan to, see where the defense is coming from and then kick out and spray out. And he was able to do that against the Boston Celtics defense that was very heavily collapsing on the paint. Brooklyn tonight wasn't sending us much help. In fact, I was watching the first half. I think the Raptors had like 79 points in the first half. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like I mean, we all know that Brooklyn's not a good team, and like it's not exactly like, oh, we gotta like pop some champagne to beat the Brooklyn Nets. But I was the first half the Raptors finished with 72 points. Yeah, so I was watching that. I'm like, they just don't seem to play help defense, which I thought was really funny. Like this is just not. I mean, that's definitely the mark of a bad defensive team when like nobody helps each other. But I was also watching like Scottie Barnes in single coverage against guys who are smaller in transition, taking it strong to the basket, cutting for dunks, like, man, just like playing in the paint and looking like just a beast down there, man. I love the mentality. I love that he got fouled 12 times as well. That had really, really, stood out to me in terms of, again, just his ability to play near the basket. Again, Brooklyn being, late to rotate if they ever did rotate, and of course hacking him, and of course even the free throw shooting at 11 of 12 is really nice for him. But I just thought he played great, and I think he's been good defensively like the entire preseason. Like, every time we talked about Scottie on the show, it was like, okay, offensively it was weird, it was a lot of outside jumpers, kind of static, wasn't really moving well, but defensively was moving great and was blocking shots and consistently, and maybe it sounds like at that moment like I was trying to give him credit to sort of balance out like the critique on offense. But no, I think he's been like clearly the Raptors' best and most impactful defender. Saw a lot of rotations for him tonight where he's rotating at the basket. Down the stretch, there was a play where he was like switched on to Nick Claxton. And part of this obviously is because Jakob was unable to finish this game. He had back spasms that cropped up again. Just super unfortunate for him. But we were able to see Scottie Barnes like come in and take on that center assignment. And even though Claxton was able to spin and score his way for a layup, it was rightfully called an offensive foul. The referee under the basket actually made a great call. Even though the basket went in, he realized what had happened, and he called the offensive foul because Claxton had used his off arm to sort of scrape Scottie in the face as he was going out for the layup, and so that resulted in 2 points erased. Like, I just thought the sacrifices were made defensively, and the energy from Scottie defensively was great because honestly, wasn't a lot of other defense out there. I would say like Jamal was playing defense because what else is Jamal gonna do? Jacoby, I thought he had some really good moments of defense and just overall hustle and energy. In particular, a lot of great offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter to keep the team alive, and then kickouts for some threes and stuff like that as a result of him hustling in the lane. But man, like it was mostly Scottie who was making plays at the basket, and I continue to expect like, especially if Jakob is like, hopefully the back issues are okay. And I actually did get a chance to talk one-on-one with Jakob about his back, earlier today, and I'll show you that clip a little bit later on when we talk about it. But, the thing with the Raptors is like a lot of their defensive, potential, if they can reach it is going to be really reliant on those two being able to, be there and protect the basket. Quite frankly, I really thought that I was pretty disappointed with the on-ball defense by a lot of the Raptors tonight. It felt like they were lackadaisical. Simple crossovers were enough to like elude Brandon Ingram. RJ getting caught on screens, and Michael Porter Jr. getting again 34 points. Like that should never happen, no matter how hot he was. IQ, I thought it was actually pretty good on the defensive end, but still. It just there was just too many holes, and I feel like over the course of the season, some of these guys I expect to be average. Some of these guys I hope to be average. But I think what we need is also exceptional defense from Scottie to cover for these guys. But man, offensively, like I just thought the process tonight where, he got himself, cuts to the basket, in transition, playing off of, where he's sealing his defender, and the amount of times he got to go one-on-one. I think the other thing too is just like when Scottie's at the top of the floor and he's trying to break down the defense from there. Not to say he can't do it, and I thought he actually made a couple nice passes out of that position today. But it's like it's so much easier for guys to send help, and then At that point, Scottie needs to sort of collect his dribble and keep his dribble alive and still manage to make the right passes out and the reads. Like, it's just harder. Versus if you get him a duck in and he's got a smaller guy on him, I expect him to go to work. And he did that, all night tonight. But also, it's like, okay, if they do send the double, Scottie's an exceptional passer out of that post where a second guy's coming. He can either, depending on whatever the read is, someone cutting to the basket. I thought he hit Mamu for a couple nice ones tonight. Obviously, Jakob, when he's healthy, it's very easy to play with Jakob. But also the kickouts, too, to get the guys open threes that, I think RJ has done really well on catch-and-shoot threes in preseason for me. I think IQ hasn't shot as efficiently, but we know he's a very good option from the three-point line. And then Brandon, of course, is just like a good option everywhere. So I just thought that, like, it's so funny because we've had so many conversations over the course of preseason. Scottie played 4 of the 6 games, and prior to this, it was like, he really wasn't going. He wasn't. I think Kirtika gave me the stat before the game that I think out of Scottie's, like, I think he had only taken like 3 rim attempts or something like that in 4 games, and I was just like, that can't be right. But I obviously I don't doubt the statistician extraordinaire, but I was like 3 rim attempts. Like, I mean, first of all, I thought maybe he had even more of those just against Boston in general, but it just felt like, okay, it did kind of reflect the eye test in the sense that he just wasn't going to the rim as much. But today he lived at the rim, and you saw the results. Like, I got obviously against the team with more rim protection, especially a team that sends more help and it just has better team defense. I don't expect him to have 31 points. But the process, if he tries to take this approach, and especially if guys send more help to him, that's great because that means Scottie can just set up other guys. He's such a willing passer and a good one too. It's just like, this is great. And I want to give him full credit, man. Scottie played like genuinely one of the best games I've seen from him on both ends. So he was awesome. I thought, honestly, like Immanuel Quickley, like even though I'm looking at the stat line and he went 6 of 16, and I did notice at one point he was kind of like slapping the floor in frustration because he had gone for a runner and he had missed it. And instead he got fouled, so that's fine. But I think he wanted the and one, considering he had a good look at the runner. That touch on the runner just hasn't really gone for him much in preseason, and hopefully that comes back because that is like the counter that he needs. Like, he's like, IQ's very much like a relief pitcher, like it's like fastball slider. You have the fastball to establish, you got to speed up the bat to catch up to it. And then you have the slider to cool people off and get people to chase and swing and miss. Like, IQ's fastball is the 3-point shot, but then the slider counter is that little, when he drives and attacks a closeout, especially because he's a little shy of contact, he's mostly looking for that little floater, and he wasn't getting that to drop. But outside of just the 2-point shots not dropping for him, I thought IQ played a fantastic game, especially in the first half where I think he had like 10 assists with 9 points in the first half alone. I just thought he was consistently getting by his man and just setting guys up. I thought the vision was good. The ball felt like it was in his hands a little bit more too, even though it was Brandon Ingram night. It didn't feel like Brandon had the ball that much. But again, like with Scottie cooking the way he was, with IQ diming people up and just consistently feeding guys for easy baskets, like it felt like there wasn't as much need even for Brandon to sort of score and be as ball dominant as he needed to be, like for example against the Celtics game. So I thought IQ. Like I would take this every day of the week. If IQ can give me 18 points, 10 assists, that goes without saying. But even just the approach of like the way he was able to set guys up, the swagger that he was playing with. He did hit 5 of 9 from 3, which was great. He continues to really make an effort to increase his 3-point volume. That's exactly what's been asked of him by the coaching staff. So again, I'm really happy to see that from IQ. Sometimes it'll look like chucking. Like I think at one point he missed like 2 straight threes. Like missed a 3 short, got the rebound, kicked it back out, missed a 3 short again, kind of thing. But like. Ultimately, like I really see a player trying to play in the style that the coach is asking from him. And of course, like whether he's going to be as effective as it is to be seen. So far the shot hasn't really dropped that well in preseason, especially from 2-point range. He might be shooting better from 3 than 2, honestly, or close to even. But I think that the process for IQ, I've enjoyed pretty much his entire preseason. I continue to see him chasing ball handlers and making more of a effort to pressure the ball. That continues to be, to me, the most notable thing. Like today, he had 2 screens that he was able to draw moving screens on. Like he just keeps doing these things. And I thought his defense just overall has been pretty solid throughout all of preseason. So I tonight his assignment wasn't even an easy one. It was Cam Thomas, who can certainly light it up. Cam Thomas went 1 for 10. You know what I mean? Like the reason the Raptors defensively were good, it wasn't really because of IQ, it's because of some other guys. So I thought IQ played really well, and again, I would love to take this sort of process from him. I also feel like sometimes watching the Raptors play, like it would be nice to get like not traditional point guard play because the Raptors really don't do a lot of traditional point guard things. Like bring the ball up, set the play up, and then get guys in their position, cut off ball. But I do feel like with IQ, like I felt like the passes were there. They were smart, and then he had a great balance between his like playmaking and facilitating. And again, the 10 assists were the game high. As the Raptors, I think they had how many assists tonight? 37. Yeah, 37 assists. That's impressive. Because the Raptors played a lot in transition. But yeah, like IQ, finding that right balance between actual on-ball playmaking and also just being the off-ball, pull up 3-point option or catch and shoot 3-point option. He just hit a really nice balance of that tonight. And then of course, this was Brandon Ingram night, which by the way, I don't remember the Raptors ever putting a player night before. Like certainly the Raptors have had themed nights. Usually they're cultural. My favorite nights recently have been the Caribbean Heritage nights that the Raptors have put on recently. It definitely helped that one year they were handing out doubles to everybody in the media core. So definitely was enjoying munching on doubles as I was watching. I think it was actually against the Pelicans. It was Raptors Pelicans, if I remember correctly. Brandon was obviously playing that one. It was OG versus Brandon down the stretch. Raptors won that game though. So, yeah, like the Raptors have had theme nights. You know what I mean? But I don't remember just a welcome this player to the team night. Like like when Kawhi joined the team, we didn't have Kawhi night. You know what I mean? I guess the whole playoffs was Kawhi night. But yeah, like there was definitely a big focus on Brandon. I actually have a funny video to show you a little bit later on, in terms of just fitting the theme for Brandon Ingram night. But it just, I think a couple things have really hammered in watching the Brandon Ingram experience so far. And by the way, I still think we just got a taste of it. Like, I think the definitely the best is yet to come for a lot of these guys, especially because it's preseason. But I definitely think that for a guy like Brandon, like there's lots of things that he's bringing to the table in terms of on the court, but even off the court. Like there's this great story by Mark Spears over at Anscape. Obviously, everyone knows Mark Spears, Hall of Famer. Mark Spears wrote a story featuring Brandon Ingram and caught up with him and talked to him about his whole experience so far. It's a great piece. You should read it. And one part I really stood out was, Brandon's like really quickly become friends with a lot of guys on the team, and he's really embedded himself well, gotten along with a lot of guys, built a lot of chemistry with these guys. That passes the eye test too, because I feel like every time I go into practice, and I guess I've been watching a lot of practice because we were in training camp in Calgary, and I've been in Raptors practices. Today we actually the Raptors had a coaches open house, which was really cool. We got to see their shoot around this morning and a couple walkthroughs of their drills. And when you get to see these settings where they're just like together as a team practicing and stuff, you get to see sort of how they interact, even the little open gym moments. Like Brandon's really integrated himself well with the team, even though he hadn't played with them until preseason on the court. But you can definitely tell the moments that he's just getting along with everybody. It's like it's easy to get along with the guy. There's some really great stories in there about how he's like, when Houston made it to the national championship game. Wait, did they make it to the national championship? No, they didn't. They lost to Alabama. No, wasn't the final Florida versus Alabama? Did Houston make the final? Or am I tripping? No, Houston did make the final. Yeah. It was Houston versus Florida, right? And Florida won like by a little bit at the end. But yeah, like I was like apparently Brandon like paid for the private jet to like, have Jamal go to the game. Which I think was just a very generous move by Brandon, obviously making, hundreds of millions in his career versus Jamal, who's a rookie and not making as much. There's stories in there about Brandon, how like he organized like a couple of team workouts to come out with him in LA. Like I just think he brings a lot to the table. Of course, on the floor, kind of a subdued game from him, honestly. Again, he didn't have the ball as much. Got the ball ripped from him a couple times, which I didn't enjoy. I think there's one thing in terms of just like locking in intensity wise, is just like guys are obviously, I basically, and I hate to even bring up the name Lou Dort because that's the reason why Brandon got injured in the first place, and that was probably the lowest point in his career, was not only being injured with the Lou Dort stepping on underneath him, but also just like the playoff series a couple years ago with how Lou Dort really dominated that matchup defensively against Ingram. Like It almost reminds me of early in his career, like KD's toughest matchups were like guys who are smaller than him, like a Tony Allen, for example, where you got guys who are shorter against obviously a really tall, jump shooter, guys with guard skills like Brandon, but like attacking into that handle, getting physical, getting below you, and then really, really attacking again, like because just by virtue of how tall they are, they got to dribble the ball a longer distance. That means the ball's exposed for longer. That means that especially the shorter guys are able to poke in and be physical. And I thought at moments like that's how the Boston Celtics got to Brandon a little bit as well, attacking his handle. And there were a couple plays where they trapped him on the sideline. And then here tonight, I thought Brooklyn did kind of a similar thing against him. But there also is like a true luxury to having Brandon because, like, what, as much as down the stretch, the Raptors, were they were executing, but they were also scoring off a couple broken plays. Like Jacoby got a couple of big offensive rebounds, kickouts. The guys to knock down threes. RJ had a three he knocked down as well. Down, and obviously Scottie had a couple and ones that were really great. But it was like very illustrative to me because this is why I enjoy watching these close games because it was like I believe it was 105 or 114 all with about a minute left, and there was this chance to set up a play. I think IQ maybe had it at the top, and Scottie and Ingram were standing side by side. And you usually, when the two guys are standing side by side like that, they're probably going to screen. One guy's going to screen for the other guy, and the other guy's going to flash to get the ball. And I was like, for a split moment, I'm like, is Scottie going to go get the ball, or is Ingram going to get the ball? And I'm like, Scottie at that point had like 30 points. But it was still Ingram going to get the ball. And I think the whole team, like, it was natural. Like, it wasn't like they were fighting over a chance to get it. This ain't like, like, it's just, it was like, okay, it's tie game. Let's give it to Brandon, top of the floor. Let's give him some space, clear out a little bit, and let's let him get us a bucket. And, I mean, just the comfort of watching it. He's like, okay, he's on the left wing. He's trying to drive on his man. He's trying to set him up, but he's playing one-on-one with the guy. He crosses over left to right. Then he crosses over right to left, gets a little sway, gets a little step, and then just pulls up for three. And yeah, I mean, it could be that simple, like sometimes the game is about a bucket. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, sometimes the game is about a bucket. And I thought that was, that was just really comforting to watch. And of course, on the ensuing possession, the Raptors got to stop and they come back. There's still like, it's still one possession game. The Raptors are up 3 with about like 35 seconds. So like Brooklyn's still going to get the ball back. It's still imperative the Raptors execute. They get the ball to Brandon at the top of the floor again. And this time Brandon's like closer to like half. He's like basically where like the half court line meets the sideline. And he's just like, I mean, as much as the guy he just hit a 3, he's not a threat from there. That's so deep. And still Brooklyn comes over with a hard double, hard trap. They're like, yo, we can't let him cook us again. Let's go guard him with 2 guys. And he's just like, okay, cool. You're going to do this to me? First off, I'm 6'9". I can pass over the defense. Throws an easy pass over the top to Scottie Barnes. Scottie drives the middle. It's a 4-on-3 situation. The defender steps up to him. He drops off to RJ, cutting in from the corner. And RJ gets a wide open dunk and puts the Raptors up 5. And that's basically the game. And that's how we get to this point where the Raptors are 119-114. It's just like, I know the other Brandon in Toronto did not have a good game today. Sorry, Brandon Little, but that was a real struggle for you today. But Brandon Ingram tonight, again, like the night wasn't really that much about him in the game itself because he didn't even have the ball that much and wasn't that assertive. But when it came down to it, again, like 114, you got to get a shot off, double crossover, get a pull up 3. That was nice. That was really nice. And again, it was a luxury because we just have not had a lot of those recently. So, I mean, those were the positives. I also thought that, like, Mamu played a really good game off the bench. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block. He just continues to look really fluid in the Raptors offense. When you play 5 out, you would ideally like a guy who can stretch the floor at center. But also, even more importantly, is whether he stretches the floor or not is important, especially for other guys. But a lot of the times, Mamu is also creating his own advantages because when the kickout comes to him, he can pump fake and then put it on the deck, and he looks really smooth, man. When he puts it on the deck, he's just like a forward. Like, I know he's nominally playing center for us, but he's mostly like a forward. And like watching him put it on the deck and Euro step and cut for dunks and run fast breaks, push the break and spin around contact and just keep the play going. I'm just like, That's nice, man. I know the Raptors have been like snake bitten, absolutely snake bitten when it comes to like, cheaper centers will come in as backups. A lot of them have been injury prone. Like a Kent Birch, for example, his body kind of betrayed him. A lot of them have been chaotic, like a Chris Boucher or Precious Achua. A lot of them have just straight up not been good, like Aaron Baines and Alex Len. We've also had like unfortunate injuries, health wise to Christian Koloko, who thankfully is able to play again and he's back with the Lakers. Alra Shamshay, he's also been referred to the same process that, Koloko was in. So, best of luck to Ulrich. I know he got cut, but ultimately, I just hope he gets all the help he can get. I hope he's physically okay. The health is more important than anything else. Those are, again, unforeseen issues that the Raptors couldn't really do much with. Or there were like, Jonte Porter, which is a situation all to itself, really. Like, genuinely, like, so the Raptors have been snake bitten, and like, if anybody deserves a win with, getting a low cost signing that actually fits with the team, that it really, exceeds expectations, that really, like, again, like similar to Brandon, fits in really well culturally. Everybody loves Sandro. He's got a great, he's just got a great aptitude all around. Like, he's just got a great mentality. Guys are sort of gravitating towards him. They're passing the ball. And again, for the system that, the Raptors want to play with Darko's 5 out, like, for example, we see sometimes where Jakob's like, okay, looking to dribble handoff, looking to hot pass high-low. Those passes aren't there. Then he has to sort of attack a gap and drive it. It just, even in Jakob is like, relatively skilled for a center, but it's not as smooth, and he's making a pretty simple like point A to point B type move, versus you look at Sandro, like, first off, he's getting longer closeouts because he pump fake out of the three and guys actually come to him, but then when he drives into the Euro steps and the crafty finishes, it's been nice. So Sandro, I'm looking forward to seeing him in the regular season and just sort of being a big part of the team. I'm also, by the way, looking forward to Colin Murray-Boyles too, because I guess this was the second time I got to watch him like pregame, like, and do the shoot around, and me, I love watching warm ups and stuff like that. And I was watching Colin Murray-Boyles, and like a lot of what he was working on, and obviously he didn't play tonight. He continues to have that little forearm issue, although the team says he's gonna be fine. Like, they don't anticipate him missing, for example, the season opener on Wednesday. But like, I was watching, okay, so he didn't really do a lot of contact stuff in terms of just like, he wasn't like banging and playing one-on-one and rebounding and boxing out and stuff. He was doing a lot of like outside shooting and three-point shooting. And I'm watching it, I'm like, first off, there's different types of three-point drills, obviously, right? And this one was a contest, like a guy's like right in front of him, like a guy who's like 6'3", 6'4", hand up, fully, like literally like almost touching him. And like, these are fully contested threes. And I'm watching this and I'm just like, like, Colin's hitting like at least half of those, and like, those are like standstill catch and shoot threes with like a hand in the face. So it's not like the hardest setting, which would be like, off of movement, you're like running to the spot and immediately catching shooting, or you're like pump faking, sidestepping, and then shooting. But contested three is a contested three. And the fact that he was even hitting 50% of those, I was genuinely like really, really like, impressed. Like, I think obviously in college it was like, he's a non-shooter. He didn't shoot a high percentage in college. He didn't shoot a lot of them in college as well. But from the moment he entered the draft process, when his season was over with South Carolina, he's been working on that 3-point shot. And I think a big value in terms of how good a prospect is their ability to improve, and do they show improvement. And even just between like what we saw in Summer League, and I guess I watched some of his warm-ups in Summer League. Although Summer League, they only give you 7 minutes in between games to like actually warm up. So it's not a real warm-up. You're just kind of like jumping into the action. This was like a full like pregame, an hour and a half before getting shots up. And it was the same time when Brandon was getting shots up. So initially I was there to watch Brandon, but I was like, okay, I know Brandon could make shots. Like, well, of course. But I started watching Colin and I was like, yo, this guy's making like half of his contested 3-point shots in a drill is very, very impressive. Like, I'm talking about like Grady Dick and Jacoby Walter probably do that. You know what I mean? And I was just like very, very impressed. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Colin, just be back in the mix again, because I actually do think the second unit can be quite dynamic with him and Sandro together, playing in that way. But ultimately, like, yeah, the Raptors, I mean, look, the main reason the main reason the Raptors didn't win this game by a lot more is, and by the way, the Raptors obviously held big leads in this one, like maybe up to 20. I don't know. At certain points, I was tapping in and out between the Jays game and the Raptors game, but Yeah, the Nets, I mean, they definitely went on a hot 3-point shooting stretch. And that really got them back in the game. They overall only shot 15 of 40, which is like close to league average. That's like 37%. But during that comeback, it was definitely like they hit a bunch of threes in a row. But I also did think that overall the Raptors defensively just didn't look that strong. Didn't look that focused. Like I tweeted in the first half, like I don't think Darko could have been very happy with the fact that the Raptors were so lackadaisical on defense, because even though it's summer league, or even though it's like training camp, um, it's still a situation where he's stressed defense over and over and over into this team. And we've actually seen some moments of pretty intense defense by the Raptors, borderline desperate, all out type of defense by the Raptors, especially by the second and third units. To see the starters come in and just be absolutely lackadaisical and just like kind of mail it in a way. And I get it. Like sometimes you're like, it's so easy to score on the Nets. And the first half, the Nets were so bad. Again, the Raptors scored 72 in the first half. But sometimes when it's so easy to score, you're like, like, okay, we give something up, we'll get it right back in the other end. But like that mentality can't really seep in, because I think for the Raptors, like first off, their outside shooting is just never going to be that hot any given game. Like today, they shot 10 of 28 from three for 36%. Like it's fine. It's actually not a lot of threes. Volume wise, 28 is pretty low these days. But in general, it's just like, there were just a lot of mistakes, a lot of miscommunications. Again, like a guy like, like if you're playing the Brooklyn Nets, like who you supposed to guard? You're supposed to guard Michael Porter Jr. No one else even has even that like resume to really hurt you that much. Like, okay, Zaire Williams pops off a little bit. That's a little surprising. You can live with that though. But the main thing is you got to limit, Michael Porter Jr. And it's not like MPJ is like some sort of undeniable ball handler, or he's got incredible size and you can't prevent him from shooting. The guy's an off-ball shooter. So how are you going to give him 20 shots? You know what I mean? So that to me is just like way too much miscommunication. Like literally they should have held him to 10 shot attempts if they were being serious. I do think that's a lot of this game. They were just so comfortably ahead that they just weren't playing serious defense. But again, like that should be one of the non-negotiables for Darko. And I just didn't think that you saw a lot of that from him tonight, from the team tonight. So I don't think he's very happy about the defense, but I think offensively, the way Scottie played, the way they closed the game with Ingram. And by the way, Ingram also had another play where he had a good look at a three and he swung it across the court to RJ for even more wide open three, and RJ was able to catch that, which was great. But yeah, like the way Quickley ran the point, those are all really, really positive things. But yeah, you just didn't get anything on the defensive end. By the way, the disappointing thing too is Jakob was unable to finish this game. He played 24 minutes. Somehow shot 5 of 15 from the field. Just didn't look physically like that, comfortable. He did get a lot of offensive rebounds. He had 6 offensive rebounds and 10 rebounds overall. But yeah, he just wasn't finishing. I mean, like you never see Jakob go 5 of 15. Like he's one of the most reliable finishers around the basket. He has been dealing with the back issue. In addition to the fact that he's been wearing a mask. I actually was able to finally get a chance to ask Jakob about it. We got a chance to, again, we were at the Raptors open coaching clinic. And I wasn't expecting to interview anybody, to be honest. But the PR staff at one point was like, "Hey, who do you want?" And I'm like, on the spot, I guess. I don't know. And I guess I just said Jakob because I haven't heard from him in a while. So we got a chance to talk to Jakob a little bit about his back. But yeah, unfortunately, he left the game with back tightness. That's what kept him out of most of preseason. He was able to play the last 2 games, but tonight he only played 24 and couldn't finish out the game. This is what Jakob actually told me in the morning of today, actually, about his back condition.
Back and also, what was the story behind like you wearing the mask? Like, what happened there?
I think it was open gym before training camp even started. I got elbowed in the nose and ended up breaking my nose, so that's why I got to wear the mask for a couple of weeks. And the back is doing pretty good, actually. Yeah, I'm constantly working on it. Like, it's one of those things where it's just a work in progress. It hasn't been perfect in the past. I had a little stretch there where it got a little bit worse, and I got on top of it, and now it's feeling pretty good again.
I think one of the takeaways, obviously,
I'm muted this whole time. Sorry. Yeah, actually, the rest of the interview we tossed up on the Hello and Welcome YouTube channel. Obviously, you can check out the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we're going live, which will be quite often, especially after every game. but yeah, like, it was, I guess it's a little sad to me that Jakob's been dealing with this for a while. He mentioned this sort of a little bit last season as well, but yeah, like you just hope that he's okay. I mean, like the Raptors just have no depth at center really. If you don't have Jakob on the team, you automatically have no true 7-footer. The Raptors did today announce that they signed Julian Reese, who was a player at Maryland. He was teammates actually with Derek Queen, who was a draft prospect that ultimately went to the New Orleans Pelicans. Obviously, the Raptors were in discussions to potentially make the center, and he was a teammate of him there at Maryland. Actually, more prominently, he's the brother of Angel Reese, the WNBA player. So, yeah. But again, he got signed on an Exhibit 10, and he's just going to be going straight to the Raptors 905. And even him, he's like 6'8", 6'7" kind of thing. So he's not a true 7-footer either. Like Jakob's the only guy with true size, and so if he's dealing with back issues, then he's got to be out there, wrestling 7-footers. Like who are the Raptors like first games? Hold on, let me just quickly check the schedule here. Yeah, the first games, I mean, like Raptors Hawks. Okay, so Porzingis probably not going to bang him as much. He's probably going to stretch it out more to the 3, but like against the Bucks, he's going to have to be in there protecting the basket against Giannis, or running out to 3-point line to chase Miles Turner. Against the Mavs, AD, even I guess Lively and Gafford, lots of guys who are going into the lane. Then Wemby with the Spurs. So that's not easy. Then the Houston Rockets with Alperen Şengün. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. You know what I mean, right? This is not a type of matchup where you want to have a bad back for some of these games. So, yeah, I just hope Jakob is going to be okay because, still, he hasn't obviously played like that in preseason because he's not been 100% between the broken face and also the bad back. But he's going to be very important, and I hope he's okay. So I actually want to take a couple questions, but I also wanted to bring you a couple videos first, and you can leave your questions in the comments, and I'll try to scroll through and find some of the older ones, but I think you're more likely to get a question up here if you drop another question into the chat now. But actually first, I wanted to show you this video. This is a courtside fan. I actually don't know his name. Sometimes I speak to him in Chinese because he is Chinese. But so I've seen him for a lot of games. Like he has like a pretty consistent spot like near the tunnel where the players run in and out of. And today I noticed he was wearing a Brandon Ingram jersey, and he was very eager to show me the fact that he was not just wearing one, but many Brandon Ingram jerseys. I believe we actually found the world's biggest Brandon Ingram fan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's still going.
Like, are you not hot?
Yo, what the? So,
Not the Duke! Not the Duke!
yo, Duke? What is next? High school?
Nah, it's still Duke. It's still Duke.
Wow.
Sir,
Wow.
showing love. Welcome to the North.
Yo, showing love. Welcome to the North, man. Give it up for the world's biggest Brandon Ingram fan, bro. This guy had 10 Brandon Ingram jerseys. Yeah, if you're listening to the podcast version, you didn't see the audio, the video of that. He's wearing a Raptors Brandon Ingram 3, another Raptors jersey. Then he's wearing like 4 Pelicans jerseys with Ingram on it, different ones. Then he's wearing 2 USA jerseys for Brandon Ingram. And then he's got a Laker jersey. And then he got even 2 Duke jerseys, the white and the blue. So, I mean, that was, yeah, I mean, very appropriate for Brandon Ingram night, actually. And knowing this guy, sometimes he'll ask me, like, he's like, yo, Will, can you get me these autographs? And I'm like, nah, man, I'm a media member. Like, I can't just be going up to players and being like, hey, can I get your autograph? Like, that's like strictly pretty much a no, basically. Especially at the arena. Maybe in a more informal setting, like when I interviewed Andrew, like it was easier. One-on-one, we're like in a court somewhere in Etobicoke, it's like easy. But like in a warm-up setting, like no, I'm definitely not gonna go on the court and be like, hey, Brandon Ingram, can you sign one of his jerseys? And I was actually like almost a little gutted for the guy because like when Ingram walked into the tunnel, like he already had like the jerseys and he was like, Brandon, like I'm a huge fan, like can you sign one of my jerseys? And Brandon was like, cool. And then he like walked past, and I was like, oh no, I hope he doesn't get stiffed. But then I told him, I was like, he's probably gonna sign it on the way back out because like you're locked in, you're trying to go to work, right? And you're trying to get the warm up in. And on the way back, Brandon did actually come back on the way out and make sure to sign his jersey. Of course, he had to kind of just pick one. So I think he got one of his Team USA jerseys signed. But that was cool, man. I didn't realize he had that type of love, bro. This guy, again, like 10 jerseys is pretty incredible. So the other thing I wanted to show you, and this is from the Raptors, coaches open house, which they do every year. It's a tradition that I truly think is actually one of the best things the Raptors do as an organization in terms of for the community, because it's a purely free event, and it's purely the only motivation for the event is just to help support and inspire local coaches of all levels. Like literally, you could be an amateur coach, you could be like a middle school coach, you could be an AAU coach, you could be a personal trainer, like you could just be a fan of coaching. Maybe you want to go to coaching one day. Like for me, like I always love going to these open coaching clinics and even sitting through the drills by the assistant coaches, by Darko, the Q&A, just the interactive sessions. Because I'm just like, maybe one day, like I would love to, like, if I have kids, like just like coach their little whatever low level games and stuff like that, and just pass on a couple pointers and just get a little bit of inspiration from it. But like this is like a purely free event that the Raptors do every year. It's gone, I think the tradition was started by Dwayne Casey over a decade ago, and we've seen it carried over by Dwayne, by Nick Nurse, and now obviously by Darko. It's a really, really cool event, and the Raptors were able to sort of have like hundreds of local coaches out this morning, because it's a long day for Darko, man. The day probably started at like 8 a.m. preparing for this open coaches house, and they've been at the arena all day. Obviously, they just wrapped up the game here tonight at the end of it. So, but it was great to sort of attend. And again, like we got a chance to sort of talk to Darko a little bit, and we talked a lot about coaching and sort of his inspirations and sort of like how he got into coaching, why he wants to coach, and that's all really cool. But we also did ask the viral question that has been going around on every single at least like I guess NBA beat, which is the trend of that Joe Mazzulla started, which Joe Mazzulla had surprised Celtics fans or Celtics media because they had been invited to play in their media game, but surprised last second it was like, you're not playing media versus media, you're playing media versus coaches. And so instead they had the Celtics coaches, which obviously include some like former, definitely high level players who played in college, guys who played professionally, and definitely guys who are very fit, play against the Celtics coaches, and that end game, I think it was 57-4. So definitely a pretty lopsided game. So I decided to ask Darko, would you do this in Toronto, basically with us? So here's that clip as well.
There's been a trend across the league, I think started by Joe Mazzulla, where NBA coaches have been playing the media. I think the Nuggets are now said they're going to do a similar thing. Do you think the Raptors might, with your coaching staff, take on some of the people that you see behind the camera?
I mean, coaches are ready. I don't know if media wants that smoke.
You think you can guard me?
Yes, I can. Do you think you can guard me?
I've never seen you play, so.
Okay, yeah. We can make that happen.
Yeah, I just I just loved how seriously he was like, yes, I can guard you. And honestly, Darko, you could definitely guard me, man. I got no game. I have height on Darko. That's definitely not a surprise. I mean, Darko was like 5'9", maybe, and I'm 6'2", but I have no ability to use my size. So again, it required having game, but it was actually just a nice little bit of banter. Actually, me and Darko, he had a Q&A on the court afterwards. So, he talked for like 30 minutes. And when he came off the court, he saw me. He's like, yo, you want to play right now? 3 of you guys? Because me and Jerome and Alex were there. He's like, we'll do 3-on-3 right now. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then I saw him before the game too. And I forgot what we were saying, but he came over and he's like, I saw the clip, man. And I was like, yo, I was like, Darko, what's your game? Like, tell me about your game. He's like, I'm not telling you my game, man. Why am I give you extra information? So I look forward to this becoming a running bit. But unfortunately, this will not actually happen. And, I won't reveal all the reasons why it won't happen, but it actually just won't happen. It's like a fun bit of banter. And, I'm happy that, we were able to sort of put that clip out and just even have some fun with it. But really, actually, it's been confirmed to me that we are not going to be doing that. We'll have a regular media game. It'll be media versus media. You will see some pretty unathletic people hit some pretty standard shots over each other. And generally have like a decent time. Everyone gets to know each other, a couple of drinks. We'll probably get coached by the assistant coaches, which is always kind of fun to sort of get their input and have professional coaches actually drop like genuine plays for us to screw up on the court. And then I'll just have a couple, drinks afterwards and a little bit of food and appetizers. Like that's what the media game is every year. And I don't think, actually, I know for certain that the Raptors will not be doing this. So we did have fun with it. I know Darko did, we had a little back and forth, but the game actually will not happen. So, don't tell me, man. Don't tell me. Okay. Don't tell me. It's not us that we didn't want to smoke. I think it's the coaches themselves, who didn't really want to smoke. So, yeah, man, it's been a fun day. Honestly, it's actually been a really rewarding day. Again, like I can't stress this enough. As anybody who's an aspiring head coach, or not a head coach, just any coach of any level, you gotta take the chance, if you haven't already, to go to the Raptors open house. Again, it's free. The only thing is you got to get there early in the morning, whatever. But the Raptors actually this is probably one of the coolest things that they do. And yeah, this year they did it pretty early. Today was actually really cool because you got to see the players on a game day for a shoot around, go through the whatever drills they want to get to. And yeah, it's just really fun being in that environment. I think you learn a lot of things too. Like they got pretty technical too, man. Sometimes they're talking about like the exact plays that they want to run. And honestly, I thought even sitting through the Q&A, some of it was like more like experience based, like how do you handle this situation? Like a player wants more minutes, how do you handle this? Or sometimes it's like what made you get into coaching? But also sometimes they were like asking very specific questions of like, how to run this specific drill and how to run this play. And I'm just like, this is really cool. It's just a genuine exchange of knowledge. And I mean, you almost never get to see that, right? Like it's from the NBA level. Like when else? It's not like you get, like, as a player, you can just go ask, Scottie Barnes for how to, handle the ball, or ask Brandon Ingram, like, how do you shoot the ball? You know what I mean? Like those opportunities will be like super rare, super cherished. And I just think that like the Raptors, coaching seminar is just like one of the cool things that they do every year. So make sure you tap in if you ever get the chance to do that. So, okay, what else do we got? So what else do we got for questions from today? I won't take as many because I actually have another event that I'm trying to go out for. It is a friend of the program, Savannah Hamilton's birthday. So I'll be looking forward to celebrating a little bit with her. But we will take a couple questions before we go. First one, Darko dropping 50 on Will's head. Actually, I don't really know what Darko's game would look like, to be honest. That's the part that I get really, really curious about. Not necessarily how we're gonna go back and forth, because like for me, I'm just like, ultimately, I know I'm not good at basketball. I know all I do is play pickup basketball, and even there, I'm not particularly great. I started playing basketball very late in my life, basically the pandemic. I'm also not in great shape, so like there's not like I need to be humbled from a basketball perspective. Trust me, like I know that I'm not good at it. But I am deeply, deeply curious in terms of how Darko plays. Because I guess I've seen like tape of Nick Nurse playing. Like if you search Nick Nurse into like Sports Reference, you'll actually find his like Northern Iowa stat lines, for example, from when he played in college. By the way, I think he shot like 50% from three or something, like something absurd. Like he was like ridiculously good from shooting threes. So it's no surprise that Nick eventually became a shooting coach. Obviously, Dwayne Casey had a very illustrious career playing at Kentucky. Most coaches are former players. But Darko, if you don't know his history, like I think he basically, after playing in high school, he's like, definitely not good enough to play. I'm going to become a coach. And he made that decision like super early. So I'm just curious what his game looks like. But I mean, the guy obviously works in basketball. He's definitely great at basketball. And would I be surprised if he scored 50 on me? Probably not. Because he's also like in pretty good shape too. So shouts to Darko. Maybe we got to take like we both each take like 2 pregame espressos and then sort of like strap it up and try to play to 11 or something. I do have a decent height on him, but again, this game will never happen, unfortunately. Next one from Steve. We barely beat the Nets. The starting 5 is overpaid and does not connect. Raptors got issues for this upcoming season. Good luck trading away any of these overpaid players. Man, I mean, I don't know. Maybe watch different games. I mean, like for me, I actually really enjoyed this game. I didn't take it as seriously as the other ones, to be honest. Like I thought the intensity was higher in some of these other ones. Again, like today, especially considering how easy the Raptors took the lead and how many times they were able to just like, okay, if the Nets come back a little bit, we just score like 3 in a row, and then we push the lead back up. Like it just felt so comfortable throughout that I just didn't necessarily feel that urgency until the end of the game, where again, credit to Brooklyn, they fought back. They forced a couple turnovers. They hit a bunch of threes. Like they made some good plays. Like I'm not trying to say that they don't deserve credit for that, but it also felt like okay, it's a close game now. Let's win the game, and that's exactly what happened. The Raptors were able to sort of take control. I actually thought a lot of today, what they did today, could really translate to other games. I know, like, the opponent genuinely was pretty bad, and honestly, it should surprise nobody if Brooklyn, for example, finishes like with the least wins in the league this year, considering how young their team is and just like how, I mean, this is almost their full team, which is kind of nuts. Because like so many players you don't even recognize on their team, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, like I think that like the Raptors concept on paper is actually not bad, and especially if you have everybody playing their roles well. And like I thought tonight, especially on the offensive end, I mean defensively, whatever, like pretty much everybody except for Scottie and Jamal were not good. But like, and Jacoby, I guess. But like offensively, I think like the proof of concept was actually quite good. Like the way Scottie was able to play around the basket and play in transition and convert a lot in the paint. The way Brandon was able to take over down the stretch and make plays, not only the pull up three double crossover, but then also drawing so much attention because he scored such an impressive basket. He was able to set up a wide open layup right after that. The way RJ was able to catch and shoot and fill in. I still think RJ could probably finish a little bit better on the basket. I feel like he's always leaving like one or two layups short every game. And then IQ obviously kind of doing the same thing, but IQ obviously facilitating and hitting the outside shot. Like, oh, team looked pretty good today, man. Like yeah, we barely beat the Nets. I just don't think we took the Nets that seriously. I think that's probably the most important thing that we see here. What else? What else are people getting here? What is the chat even talking about here? Okay, this one. Have you ever seen a worse point guard combination than Sarah, Traore, and Demon? Although Demon was actually solid. Actually, I was a little surprised by Demon. Demon was one of those guys who was able to bomb threes. But by the way, I guess okay. So Demon's he's Russian, but the E in Demon, Demin, has the umlaut on the top of it. It was kind of funny because I was looking at the scoreboard and they just had a question mark instead, so it was like D?min. And I was just like, oh, okay, what's his name? It can't be that complicated. But yeah, Demon was able to get the outside shot to drop at a decent amount. Actually got to the rim a decent amount too, 6 or 7 from the field. Actually, one thing I've been noticing in preseasons is like super nerdy, but the NBA did change their the foul rules for contesting 3-point shots, and you saw like basically if you high five a guy after the closeout, like even after the ball's gone, if you just like touch their hand, that's still a foul. I actually don't particularly like this. I feel like it's already hard enough to contest 3-point shots, and to disincentivize contesting these, I think it gets yet another advantage to the offense that just feels a little bit kind of favored anyway right now with the way the NBA is playing, with how fast and how spaced the floor is. And obviously how loose traveling is called in terms of like allowing extra steps for gathering the ball, for example, before you actually then take your 2 steps. But yeah, like there I do see a lot of players across preseason, because I've not just watched the Raptors, I've seen some other preseason games too, where like there's a consistent theme where guys are really confused and like, wait, I fouled on that 3-point contest? Because it's like what used to be kind of a perfect contest, which is like the high five closeout. You're not landing under a guy, you're sort of flying past the guy, but then you're like, and you're not contacting the shooter, obviously, as he's shooting in the arm. But if you like the follow through, you like kind of hit and deflect a little bit. That's all being called fouls now. And I forget who, I think maybe Brandon was called for one of those. It's just like, probably take some adjustment. It's also probably one of those things where like the NBA changes rules, and then in preseason referees call it a ton as like a point of emphasis, and then it fades away over the course of the year. We've seen that pattern a lot too. But yeah, the point guard rotation, I mean look, they're trying to tank, right? So, and these all 3 of these guys, Ben Seraph, Nolan Traore, and Diego Demon, are all rookies. So they're 3 rookie point guards. I don't know when the last time that really happened, to be honest, because yeah, when did the Rap? I guess like maybe Brooklyn. Oh no, maybe Minnesota back in the day when they took both Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn the same year. But yeah, yeah, that was pretty good. So, what else we got, man? Okay. Oh, someone said Dylan Brooks rule after he kept doing that to Steph's broken thumb. Okay, that's a pretty different situation, man. I mean, that's a pretty difficult situation. So, what else we got, man? Do I have a BI warm-up report? Honestly, the BI warm-up report was, I was watching it and I was like, damn, Colin Murray-Boyle really, really was cooking. Like, that was really, really, that was just really impressive, man. Like, I was watching, like, again, like, Brandon was warming up at the same time as Colin, and I enjoy watching, Brandon. I'll play a little one-on-one, just fadeaways over, like, really tall defenders. I guess, like, coaches on the Raptors who are trying to, like, contest. Actually reminded me, not in the same way, because honestly, very few things will be as satisfying as watching that Kawhi Leonard pregame, where he would have like genuine 7-footers like Jamal Magloire put a full hand up right in front of him, and Kawhi would just dribble up and pull up these like laser beams from like the elbow to like the 3-point line, like just all of them going in. I was like, how is that even possible for anybody? So nothing will beat that, but it did have that kind of air of like, oh yeah, he's just practicing taking hard shots because he knows he can make all the easy ones, and that was cool. But again, I got pretty. Again, my warm up report is that Colin Murray-Boyles, man, that he's he's a lot better than I thought at the start of the season. So, I just want him to be healthy. So far, he's been fine. What is this? RJ shot 57% today in crickets. Yeah, I mean, RJ's definitely got to improve the free throw shooting. Like, it's like he's leaving a lot of points on the table. He's leaving a lot of points on the table on the drives too. And I also think that, like, defensively, again, he got caught on a lot of screens. Like, I mean, definitely there's a lot to be critical. I think, like, part of the reason why, even though RJ played pretty well and he had 25 points, his plus minus wasn't a lot higher, was just that he like missed a couple drives and it didn't come back on defense, or he, like, again, for me it was just like the being lost in a lot of screens. Brooklyn did do a good job of off-ball screens, and that allowed a guy like Michael Porter Jr. to get open for threes. The thing with RJ is always just like getting more efficient in your role, and then also getting better on the defensive end. And I didn't think he was particularly, well, he definitely wasn't good defensively today, although he did have a stretch where he did have he went up vertical to challenge on a block. Didn't get the block, but the verticality stopped the play at the rim, and the I forget which net, but he missed. He tried to dunk on RJ, he couldn't dunk on him. Verticality. Then on the fast break, I think Mamou had the ball in the middle of the floor. RJ was a trailer. Hit RJ. RJ went down the lane, threw down a dunk. I think this is at the end of the second quarter. And then going the other way, somebody got beat at the point of attack and got into the middle of the lane. RJ slid over across the lane and actually got there in time to take the charge. And initially it was called a block, but Darko actually saw the replay and instantly, instituted for the review. And turns out it was absolutely right. RJ did get into place in time. He was shuffling a little bit, but he had clearly beaten the player to the spot, and he took the charge. You never really see RJ take charges, so I was actually really happy that Darko actually backed up the play, because that was the correct call, was the charge, so it got corrected. But yeah, like, overall, like, definitely, like, the free throws, I mean, it continues to be baffling how RJ was like a 70+% free throw shooter with the Knicks, and last season he was like 60. Like, how many times did I point out that, like, RJ was shooting worse from free throws than Jakob, who was shooting one-handed free throws? Like, it's, like, that shouldn't be a thing. RJ ostensibly actually is a decent 3-point shooter nowadays, especially catch and shoot. So if you have the touch to shoot threes, there's no reason why you can't hit the free throws. So, absolutely, man. Oh yeah, do we have any clarity on Ulrich? And, well, right, yes, that's okay. So I did ask around today, just being around the team a lot today, just about the Ulrich situation. So I know there's always a natural curiosity, and people definitely want to know what happened, and I totally understand people being excited for Ulrich. I was excited for Ulrich as well, and was not expecting for him to be cut. I think part of the reason I heard so much silence on this specific matter was that, like, when it comes to matters of things being medical, people do tend to be, like, a lot more tight-lipped about it, and I think there's, like, genuine, like, rules about it. Like, I don't even think it's like people trying to be mysterious and keep information in-house. But it seems to be like, yeah, as other people have referred to, like, he's going to be referred to the committee by the NBA to sort of see if they can return to action. We saw a similar situation play out with Christian Koloko. Christian's specific issue was with blood clots, and even at that time, it was reported, kind of, like, no one wanted to go on record and say what it was, because it's just like a health thing. So hopefully, I don't know what the exact thing is for Ulrich. I just hope that he's okay health wise. It really is a shame. From my understanding, it probably would have taken a bit of time for him to come back into into the actual fold. And so, yeah, like, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, because that's the thing. Someone said it does evolve in his hand, and I agree because like that's what I initially thought it was. Because I remember going into the first day of training camp where they let us in and got to see the whole team and like in the gym, and I noticed that Ulrich wasn't obviously in the jerseys and stuff. He was on the sideline in street clothes, and he had a little wrap on his hand. So I was like, okay, maybe he got a little minor hand injury, whatever. Like that's minor. But yeah, the team did say, I think like 2 weeks ago now that this is during training camp, that it was like, okay, well, we'll update Ulrich's condition once we test him. But then they obviously never did, which is pretty unusual. Typically, they will go for scans and they'll give you an update. They're pretty diligent about that. And honestly, they need to be transparent. Like that's, I think, actually part of the league's rules. But in this specific case, like, yeah, I from what I understand, it's a health issue with Ulrich. It's not the Raptors who are giving up on Ulrich. It's not that like they don't like him or anything like that. It's just it's a health issue. Hopefully, he's going to be okay. Kind of a lot of people are bummed out about it, and yeah, like just obviously if he's not going to be able to play, then of course you do have an extra roster spot now, especially another 2-way contract you could potentially give. And you know, like I think there are definitely discussions to keep AJ Lawson around. I know AJ was among the cuts, and a lot of people have grown pretty attached to AJ. We had obviously had AJ on the program in the summertime. We talked about just his whole career. We sat down with him. We all saw sort of how much you know, AJ loves the city of Toronto, how proud of you know, his hair, like just not even his, I guess his heritage, about being from Toronto, being from Brampton, you know. And I thought he played pretty well in his time towards the end of last season, and also in summer league he was their leading scorer. And you know, we haven't seen him play as much in preseason, which I always kind of suspected, like, oh, does that mean that's kind of like they're gonna cut him? But then again, I don't think they anticipated having this open 2-way spot. So we'll see. Maybe AJ has other opportunities as well. You know, certainly a 2-way is nice, but you know, if there's a spot elsewhere in the league, you know, maybe he's shown enough to sort of earn that. But I do think that there is a decent chance that AJ actually does stick around and ends up taking that same spot. So that's honestly for me, like for a man like me who doesn't even do that much reporting, like that's actually not a decent. That's not a bad amount of reporting for one man for today. So okay, let's wrap up. I want to get to my friend's birthday. Let's get to the 3 stars and the Gerald Henderson Award from tonight's performance. First star, we talked about it at the start. We talked about it throughout the show. Phenomenal performance from Scottie Barnes. 31 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, a block. 10 to 15 from the field, 11 to 12 from the foul line. Just again, just like a masterclass. Like, I think I tweeted something that people were not particularly happy with. Hold on. What was it? Yeah, I tweeted. Yeah, I know this is a depressing loss by the Jays, but at least we got this Scottie Barnes masterclass. And all the replies are Jays fans crashing out. I guess I knew that's what the mood of the game was. But yeah, no, it was fantastic. Like if we could bottle this up and have this every game, maybe not even, I don't even care about the efficiency and the volume, because that's always great, but you know, I'm not expecting 30 from Scottie every game. But the approach to get in the paint, to again just like play his game, the energy that he played with, he looks spry. He was dunking the ball too. We've seen Scottie like mostly lay it up, so maybe he's just physically feeling better. You never know, but whatever reason, man, Scottie played phenomenal. And if we can get this every game, like we would have zero debates the way we've been having recently about sort of like his role and just like you know, how he's fitting in with the team and his approach. Like this is the approach. Like if we could just put this on a DVD and just have him watch this over and over again and just like stick to this, you know, like incredible stuff. Second star, I'll give it to IQ. Really liked IQ's performance tonight. 18 points, 10 assists for Immanuel. Yeah, I mean, IQ's not going to have the ball that much to always get 10 assists, but you know, there is that element of being a point guard that it's weird because he is the point guard, but he's also kind of not the point guard based on like how many other guys are involved and how much else they're going to run like the rest of their offense through other guys. But man, IQ was great today. Like genuinely a very, very fun performance, especially in the first half where he's diming guys up. He's also got a new celebration too, which he did famously hit on Joe Mazzulla in front of Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla told him to F off basically. And that was definitely a bit of fun banter back and forth between IQ and Joe. But yeah, it's like the call 5 situation. So he's got the phone to one hand and then the 5 with his number. yeah, IQ was great today, man. I really like this approach. And then your third star, I mean, RJ had a good game, but Brandon Ingram, it's Brandon Ingram night. It's the guy with the 10 jersey. It's the, double cross pull up three. It's the, it's the steal where he just ripped it from, I think, Michael Porter Jr. I think he just like straight up ripped it from his hand for the steal. It's the fact that he executed down the stretch, and again, like I know this thing didn't really count, but that was nice, man. That was nice. And again, I continue to enjoy he's aesthetically pleasing. Like I really enjoy that. So yeah, BI, despite not being as prominent as other games, especially offensively, still had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals on a block. And when it was tied 114 all, like, whoo, man, just pull up 3, like, damn. Just haven't had that type of like generate offense out of nowhere type of thing. You're in jail if you're 1-on-1. So that was fun. Gerald Henderson Award winner for today. It's got to go to Michael Porter Jr. I mean, my goodness, man. MPJ cooked us like crazy. Definitely it wasn't a strong defensive performance by the Raptors. That's obviously it's unacceptable in the sense that like, if this game counted, it's definitely not great to see the Raptors like slack defensively this much. But yeah, definitely he took advantage of that slack, and he was also just hitting shots, man. He was hot from the start, and he was pretty hot towards the end too. He just he is still Michael Porter Jr., so it was not like he was going to single-handedly win the game for them, but yeah, he was man, he was 34 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. It was a really nice performance from Michael Porter Jr. So thanks all for listening. Appreciate all of you. Yeah, just hope you guys have a nice weekend. We'll be back next week. Obviously, the Raptors are done preseason, so we don't end up having post-game shows until next week. Oh, I forgot to say this. I was supposed to say this earlier. My bad, guys. We are having a live watch party. Not with Darko. That would be amazing. We're having a live watch party. We posted this also on social as well, so you can find it. But the details here, we will be at the Pint Public House, which is at 277 Front Street West. It's kind of really close to the Sky Dome. It's a free event. It's first come, first serve. We're actually having a live watch party along with the fine folks at Raps Republic. That means you'll see Samson, you'll see S, you'll see Trey over there, myself, Alex, Jerome. And yeah, we're just having a free watch party. This is October 22nd. This was we'll start at 7:00. The Raptors will open their season on the road against the Atlanta Hawks, I believe, at 7:30. So we will have just a chance to just get together and watch. And by the way, I did check. Obviously, people are down really bad right now, but the Blue Jays, if they did make it to the World Series, then obviously they need to come home to Toronto and return and win both games. But we know the Jays are capable of doing it. If the Jays do make it to the World Series, this does not actually conflict with the World Series. They do not play on a Wednesday, no matter who ends up going. So it'll just be a chance to come out and watch the Raptors season opener. And then, of course, we'll do a live post-game show afterwards as well. Maybe we'll actually do like a live post-game Q&A with some of the fans there too. But it's always, we always think about like how we can bring people together in the community, and I think this is actually a really fun chance to just come out and watch games. So again, it's free. It's at the Pint Public House. You can find more details if you want on both the Raptors Republic channels or the Hello and Welcome channels. But yeah, it'll be cool to see you guys there, and it'd be great to sort of meet up with people again. So thanks everyone for listening. This has been the Hello and Welcome podcast, and we'll see you on Monday when we continue to preview the upcoming regular season, because after 6 of these preseason appetizers, I'm ready for the real thing. So thanks all for listening, and have a good next weekend, guys. Blue Jays, please, man, please win the next 2 games.